history of special education. In the Middle Ages, the Church became the first institution to provide care for physically and mentally impaired people. In the mid-1500s, Pedro Ponce de Leon succeeded in teaching deaf pupils in Spain to speak, read, and write. In the 1890s, Maria Montessori, an Italian pediatrician, became an educator and innovator of a unique method of training for young mentally disabled children in Rome. She focused on self-education for sensory motor training. In 1965, Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Elementary and Secondary Education Act. This provided funding to expand access to public education for children with disabilities.
I began to notice that we were nothing like
In 1975, the Education for All Handicapped Children Act was created. This was the right to public education for all ages regardless of their disability. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, also known as IDEA, was also created in 1975. This requires schools to provide individualized or special education for children with qualifying disabilities. Today, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act includes broad mandates for the provision of services to all children with disabilities. What does the word retarded mean to you?
I don't know.
Negative term that people use to describe someone who does not have the same mental abilities that they do.
Personally, I think that this is an offensive understatement that someone could call people like me, saying that, well, we'll never make it through when we know deep down inside we can.
For me, it means a derogatory word that I've tried for the past couple of years to eliminate in my school. I'm the president of Circle of Friends, and that's something that I strive to eliminate from the everyday use of our language.
Retarded historically is a term that was used to describe people with Down syndrome or an IQ under 70. And that was a clinical term that was given by the American Psychological Association. Retarded then evolved to be used to be called people who were perceived as being not that smart, would be called retarded in a derisive and derogatory manner.
People use it as a derogatory term towards people who have special needs.
Not smart.
jumping up and down the floor. My hat is an
retarded means some individual has mental or physical conditions that may not be able to do everything that they would like to do.
Have you had any experience with individuals with special needs?
I have a few friends with ADD, and then I have one friend I think who has Asperger's.
Not so much.
I've actually worked with someone who has special needs when I was an arts and crafts specialist, and it is a different experience, and you have to be accommodating, and sometimes you have to explain things multiple times, really make sure that they understand what's going on. But I always think it's important to treat everyone fairly when you're in that situation.
I've had experience with individuals with special needs, mainly because I'm one of those people myself. What people can't really see is how easily they mess up or interact because they're blinded by their own perspectives.
I do. I grew up with a friend named Lily Garvey who has Down syndrome, and we went to the same middle school, and now I also volunteer with kids with special needs.
I currently work at Cooperative Educational Services in Trumbull and the Autism Project at the Kennedy Center in Stratford. I've worked with these kids with disabilities for about 8.5 years. Many of my students I have come across are very caring individuals. It doesn't hinder, the disability doesn't hinder anything about them. It brings out more of a caring trait. And I believe that that has rubbed off on me, which has given me such a passion for my career.
I don't have any experience, but my daughter does, which is you.
Well, I did student teach and sub for 2 years, and I did run into some children with special needs.
Why do you think people discriminate against individuals with special needs?
It makes them feel better.
I think they discriminate because they think that they're better than them because they have a disability.
I think that people discriminate because they don't really understand always what that person is going through. So sometimes people are kind of afraid of things that they don't understand, and that could make people discriminate.
I think people discriminate against individuals with special needs because they have a code book of standards that they have to abide by.
I think people discriminate against kids with special needs because they don't really understand what they're going through or how they really are. I think if our society was more informed about how the everyday life of these kids are, then they would be more sympathetic for them.
Discriminating against people with special needs is just another way that often cause people to feel more power themselves. That particular group of people, because they're often easy to target and don't necessarily retaliate in the way other groups might.
Because they just ignorant.
What is the difference between a kid with special needs and a special needs kid?
I think saying a special needs kid defines that person by the needs that they have, whereas saying a kid with special needs just adds something to the person, not necessarily a negative thing. Just adds to them versus defining them only by it.
Without a roof, clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know.
I like the term a kid with special needs better. I feel like a special needs kid puts a label on them that's how they're that's how they're known, but a kid with special needs, it's still a kid, but he just has something that he was born with that he can't change.
I know there is a difference. I'm not sure how to use either. I think there is a difference, but I'm not sure what the difference is. I think the correct way is a girl with special needs.
Why? Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof.
How did you feel about the book?
Good. It makes me feel happy because Emmet is happy and he deserves to have friends.
I felt good because it brings awareness to people who aren't as understanding.
Touched my heart because it's written in a very beautiful, touched me, really touched me.
What do you think the book does?
I think it teaches you how to treat people and how to be a nice friend.
I think the book helps people to understand a little bit more about people with special needs because some people don't really know the circumstances, and this book is a good way for people, especially little kids who really might not have any experience with this, to understand a little bit better the daily lives.
I think that the book teaches us that we should be aware of what people think of others, because words can hurt.
Really showed people how to handle difficult situations.
What would you do if you were confused or scared by something Emmet was doing?
Well, in the in that exact moment, I would probably just wait it out and see if he calms down, and then later I would probably either think about it a little more and just maybe begin to make some connections.
I would just give him some space and come back to him and try and be his friend.
At the time, I would probably give Emmet a little bit of space for him to calm down or regroup what he needs to do, and then maybe take some time later on and make sure that everything's okay.
Well, I try to get him to talk about it.
Would you want to be Emmet's friend?
Yeah, sure, he seems like a pretty fun guy.
Yes, I would definitely want to be friends with Emmet.
Yes.
What is one thing you wish people knew about individuals with special needs?
They're unique and different in their own way. You know, they're all different. They all have special things that they work on.
I think people should treat anyone, regardless, in a kind and respectful manner.